Hi Rangga, my name is Mihkael, or you can call me Michael, and today I want to retell the story in audio 1, 2, and 3. Hi Rangga, I'm here. Now I want to retell the story in audio 1, 2, and 3. And for the first, I want to retell the story in part 1. Complete the answer. Wingsuits are not very new, but the modern ones are better than ever. Last October was the first ever wingsuit world championship in China. You can buy a wingsuit for $600 to $2,000. The water distiller is for places where it's hard to get clean drinking water. To produce the water distiller properly, they still need help with investment. The enable top gloves were invented by some Ukrainian student. The gloves use sensor to turn sign language into text and then into spoken language using smartphone. James Cameron was part of a team which designed a submarine capable of descending to the lowest part of the sea 10 kilometers down. James Cameron was the first person to do a solo dive so deep under the sea. Mid students have invented a product that helps people get the contents out of a bottle. And next, I want to retell the part 2. Complete the story. One day there lived a rich merchant who fell ill with his 3 sons. Because he had not long to live, the rich merchant gave the inheritance to each of his sons. The first and second sons received such a large inheritance, while the third son only received a small inheritance. Seeing the third child sad, the cat also wants to prove that his existence is something valuable. He suggested to his master to give him a sack and boots. At first, he didn't believe it because he thought it was a waste of time, but it couldn't hurt to try. The shoes given to the cat were worn by him, while the sack given to the cat was used to catch rabbits and chickens by trapping them to be given to the king. Incidentally, being hungry, the king was very happy to be given a rabbit and a chicken. After that, the king thanked the cat. A few days later, the cat saw the king walking with his daughter in a horse drawn carriage. Because of his smart brain, he immediately went to his employer to deliver the news. He gave the idea to his master to go to the lake and take off his clothes, then pretend he couldn't swim. Then the cat pretended to scream for help. Hearing the cat's cry, the king ordered his soldier to save the third child. Then, after being rescued and given clothes, it turned out that the king's daughter really loved the third son. They married and lived happily ever after. And for the last, I want to retell in part 3. Complete the story. One day, there was a very rich man. He has a big, beautiful house. However, this man had a blue beard, which made him terrifying in the eyes of women. In the area around her house, there is a middle aged woman who has 2 very beautiful daughters. Bluebeard really wanted to marry one of his children, but both refused. The reason they do not want to have a husband who has been married to several women before. Since Bluebeard really wanted to marry one of them, he invited the 2 beautiful princesses for a whole week to party, dance, and enjoy music. Long story short, Over time, the youngest of the two siblings fell in love with the Bluebeard, and in the near future, they got married. A month after getting married, Bluebeard was forced to leave his wife for several weeks due to business in the countryside. He gave the key to his wife and said, "This key is the key to the large box which contains jewels and money. And in this box is the small key that belongs to the cupboard at the end of the long gallery on the ground floor. The large box may be opened, but the cupboard at the end of the gallery is not may be opened. If you disobey my words, then you will be subject to a terrible punishment." After Bluebeard left, Bluebeard's wife left them and went downstairs. He was curious about this item, contents of the large wardrobe, and then opened it. On seeing its contents, his wife was shocked. It contained a dead woman who turned out to be the woman who married the man with the blue beard and then killed him. Out of fear, his wife locked the cupboard again. His hand shook until the key he was holding fell to the floor and was covered in blood. He immediately ran to his room and tried to cheer himself up. The bloodstained keys were cleaned using the cloth. It wasn't long before Bluebeard came home that night. The next morning, Bluebeard asked for his wife's keys. Because there were still bloodstains on the key, the wife tried to hide the key. Bluebeard quickly realized that his wife had gone against his word. After a long time, the wife hid it. Finally, the wife gave the key to the Bluebeard. Bluebeard looked very angry and threatened to kill his wife. Knowing this, the wife knelt begging for forgiveness from the Bluebeard. But the Bluebeard ignored his wife's apology. His wife, knowing her life was coming to an end, had one last request, which was to give her time to pray. Knowing his wife's last wish, Bluebeard gave him 30 minutes. After that, Bluebeard left his wife, and then the wife called her sister and told her everything that happened. Then the sister told her that her brother was coming to meet her. As time was running out, Bluebeard shouted to his wife. The terrified wife kept asking her sister about her brother on the phone. Bluebeard kept screaming at his wife to get out of his room because his wife didn't come out. The Bluebeard approached his wife who was in the room. The wife who was in her room then saw her brother was close and she motioned for her brother to move faster. For a moment the Bluebeard wanted to kill his wife. There was a sound of banging of the door which turned out to be the wife's brother, who then thrust a sword into the Bluebeard and the Bluebeard died. After that, the Bluebeard man's wealth goes to his wife, and she used some of it to repay her brother's kindness and some to marry the man she wants. After getting married, she slowly forgot the cruelty of the Bluebeard. Hi Rangga, I'm back. So it is my presentation. I'm so sorry if I'm lacking for my presentation. I hope you like it and thank you for watching my video until the end. And Thank you so much. Bye bye.